The NASCAR scene is about to get shaken up like never before by a new player. We're talking about a major Japanese automaker building a name for itself in the world of stock car racing. While IndyCar is under pressure, NASCAR could be on the verge of a spectacular revolution. What if a powerhouse is waiting in the wings to take the NASCAR stage? Will the competition be shaken up? Don't miss out on the inside scoop. Subscribe to our channel and hit that like button for more whereabouts on NASCAR. Alright, so here's the lowdown. When it comes to winning the manufacturer's championship in NASCAR, it's been a Ford, Toyota, or Chevrolet party since 1982. Those three have been ruling the NASCAR scene with an iron grip. But hold your horses because things might just be about to shake up a bit. IndyCar is hitting a rough patch, folks. Right now, there are only two players in the engine game, Honda and Chevrolet. But hold on to your hats because that might change real soon. Honda, the Japanese powerhouse, is thinking about bidding on IndyCar, eyeing NASCAR, or maybe a juicier investment in Formula One. You see, Honda America's been playing ball in the IndyCar series, but their contract is waving goodbye in 2026. It turns out the cost of making these snazzy 2.2-liter V6 engines for the IndyCars are shooting through the roof. Honda's big shots are scratching their heads thinking, is it really worth it? And guess where they might be eyeing? NASCAR. IndyCar has been the undisputed champ in North American open-wheel racing for ages. Honda's been in the mix since '94, but the love affair might hit the brakes in 2026 when their current deal wraps up. Why the sudden cold feet? Well, there's a missing third wheel in the engine lineup, leaving Honda to foot the bill for half of the 27-car squad. And trust me, the bill's getting a bit too hefty for their liking. Change might be on the horizon, folks. Chuck Shifsky, the big shot at American Honda Motorsports, spilled the beans on why they might be breaking up with IndyCar after 2026. It's all about cash. Apparently, footing the bill for half the field is burning a hole in their pockets. And Chuck thinks that's why IndyCar is stuck with just two engine suppliers. He spilled the tea saying, if the return on investment made sense, we'd have more players in the game. He dropped some truth bombs, saying, we're looking for a wholesale change to the engine regulations so that we can eliminate $5s and $10s of millions of annual technical costs. Because if we don't, then it's too much money, and we will go do something else. That something else could be NASCAR, or a further investment in our Formula One effort, or something that isn't motorsports at all. Now, Honda's no stranger to the motorsports scene, dabbling in Formula One and whatnot. But if they decide to pull the plug on IndyCar, they're eyeing a new playground, NASCAR. Chuck wants a major overhaul in engine regulations to slash those crazy technical costs. If that doesn't happen, Honda might just shift gears to NASCAR or pump more cash into their Formula One adventure. Or who knows, maybe they'll dive into something totally unrelated to racing. If Honda makes a swift exit, IndyCar will be left with just one engine supplier. NASCAR fans are already buzzing on Twitter, and let me tell you, they're painting a pretty gloomy picture of open-wheel racing. The plot thickens, my friends. Talking about Honda's IndyCar Blues, they've been the backbone of the series since 1994, supplying engines to more than half of the 27 full-time cars on the grid. But here's the kicker. Making those V6 engines is burning a hole in Honda's pocket. The costs are soaring, and the workload is getting heavier than a sumo wrestler. So Honda's thinking, maybe it's time to hit the road and explore life outside IndyCar. And where might that be? Well, NASCAR could be the answer. Now rewind to 2022. When rumors were buzzing about Dodge potentially becoming NASCAR's fourth OEM. It was like the hot topic of the town. But guess what? Those talks vanished into thin air for some mysterious reason. Fast forward to today and we've got Honda considering a move that could make NASCAR's heart race. Let's talk about the holy trinity of Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota. They've been running the show in NASCAR for over 40 years. When whispers about Dodge making a comeback started circulating, NASCAR didn't shy away from admitting they were on the hunt for a fourth player. Steve Phelps, the bigwig president, spilled the beans before the 2022 season saying, we've made no bones about the fact that we want to have a new OEM in our sport. I think we got delayed with the pandemic. With that said, we're an attractive place, I believe, for OEMs to come into the sport. NASCAR's ready for some fresh blood, and Honda might just be the adrenaline shot they need. Shifsky's words for a sec. It's like he's throwing shade at the whole idea of one brand ruling the roost, a sentiment the bigwigs in the racing world have been grappling with for ages. Chevrolet's sitting pretty at the top, bagging 42 manufacturer championships. Ford and Toyota are trailing behind with 17 and 3 respectively. It's a bit of a David and Goliath situation. When you break it down, it's all about the money dance for Honda. Teams are craving more cash too. The multi-million-dollar question is, how do you make it rain? IndyCar's viewership isn't what it used to be. Sure, it still edges out F1 among American viewers, but NASCAR is the undisputed champ year after year. Honda could take their wad of cash and hit the road to F1 or NASCAR. And mind you, it's not every day you hear a manufacturer rep, not already in NASCAR, chatting about jumping into the mix. Is Steve Phelps, the NASCAR bigwig, waving his magic wand to lure in new players? It's a possibility. Chuck Schiffsky spilled the beans saying, "We're looking for a wholesale change to the engine regulations so that we can eliminate $5s and $10s of millions of dollars of annual technical costs. Because if we don't, then it's too much money, and we will go do something else. That something else could be NASCAR or a further investment in our Formula One effort, or something that isn't motorsports at all." In 2020, Honda Performance Development President Ted Klaus addressed rumors about Honda making a move into NASCAR after the Gen 2 car is introduced. He said, "I think we've got our hands full right now with IndyCar and getting on with the IMSA DPI for next season. We'll see how that turns out. My suggestion is that the more that North American motorsports is able to take advantage of existing investments across the series, it gives manufacturers a chance to do more than one thing. If every series requires a unique investment, especially in today's age, that will probably cause people to pause, because we can't be all things to all people. So I think for the time being, we are going to focus on IndyCar and sports cars on behalf of Honda Racing and Acura Motorsports. That's driven by business limitations more than anything." Honda has been on a winning streak, securing consecutive IndyCar manufacturers' titles and defending IMSA titles in both prototype and GT Daytona classes in 2020. While NASCAR's next-gen car, likely incorporating some hybrid tech, was set for 2022, IMSA's LMDH prototypes were not mandatory until 2023. For Schiffsky, the dream is for IndyCar to take a page from IMSA's playbook. I'm talking about a lineup boasting nearly 24 OEMs, with rumors of more joining the party. Why? According to Schiffsky, the costs match the value in that series. Now, let's take a look at how fans reacted. The buzz about hybrid and electric powertrains entering the scene is getting louder, and that means more players might join the party down the road. But for now, Honda could be the missing piece that Dodge left behind in the NASCAR puzzle. Remember what Steve O'Donnell, the COO of the promotion, said last year? He was all for it, noting, "It'll be terrific for the sport if we can get that, a fourth OEM." So, buckle up folks, the racing world might just be in for a thrilling shakeup. IndyCar is catching some heat from fans as the news about Honda's potential exit shakes things up. One fan threw shade by drawing a stark comparison between NASCAR and IndyCar, highlighting NASCAR's recent whopping $7.7 billion TV deal during their offseason. The vibe was, NASCAR's popping bottles while IndyCar struggles for good news. The loss of Honda is sounding alarms for some fans, with dire predictions floating around. One fan straight up said, "Indy won't be around much longer." Another bluntly stated, "IndyCar is screwed then. It's not looking too rosy." Some fans are pointing fingers at series owner Roger Penske, urging him to step up and find a solution or rope in another engine supplier real quick. One fan dropped a truth bomb saying, "Message to the series from Honda, at IndyCar need to grow. With the F1 exposure in the US, do you need to fund IC anymore? If Cadillac gets into F1? Time for Penske to stop nickel and diming. Need to invest for growth for a few years or don't bother." The consensus seems to be that if Honda hits the road, IndyCar might be in for a rough ride. One fan nailed it, saying, "IndyCar will suffer if they have to run all Chevys. Competition is usually good for the sport." The big question now is, how do you think Honda's exit will impact the IndyCar series? The fans are sounding off. What's your take? Do tell us. So that's all we've got for today. We hope you enjoyed it. Tell us what you think of the video in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in the upcoming video.